This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Welcome to Research Talks here on Stockbox with Alan Green. Alan, it's good to be talking to you again. Day earlier than we normally talk on the Research Talks podcast here, but I've got a lovely day. We always do start with the weather. What's it like over in the UK?
Yeah, we've had this benign, cloudy weather, Mark. It's just clouds drifting across the sky, very little wind, which actually is very good because we've got a builder working on our house at the moment, and we're having the pointing done, which is a very messy job. So thankfully he's cutting all the old stuff out, and it's not really flying everywhere. It's quite localized, but I think the weather's changing next week. So yeah, if it stays like this for the weekend, it'll be great for dog walking and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect weather for dog walking. It's nice. And I was saying to someone the other day, I don't know what it feels like with you, but it doesn't feel like November for me. I don't know why. Whether we still had snow over here in the Netherlands in sort of April time last year, and it just feels like the summer was yesterday. It does have a bit of a strange feeling. It's certainly not. It's not cold. It's not got that winter feeling. It still feels like sort of autumn, really. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, it does. Certainly, I went out last night and it was fairly cool. It was, I think, because there's no air movement. When there's cloud cover, obviously the temperatures do drop, but certainly it's not that biting icy cold. But the temperatures were down to 7 degrees last night, I think. So, so it was fairly cool. But yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, today on the Research Talks podcast, we're going to be talking about Blencowe and tertiary minerals, and it's tertiary that you want to start us off with. I think we've not spoken about tertiary before, I don't think, have we?
We have spoken about tertiary before, but Patrick Cullen, the MD, has now come in and is heading up the new company that's emerging from the. Well, not from the ashes, but certainly the company that's emerging from the former fluorspar company, and of course there are a raft of mining assets in Nevada. But excuse me, just to start off with, tertiary minerals, AIM listed, of course. Micro cap. I mean, currently looking at the market capitalization of 2.6 million. Shares were traded as high as 0.64 on the year, as low as 0.19, and we're just off that now at 0.23 pence. There is very little really other than the value of the licenses and expectations in the share price at the moment. I mean, there's no premium, I believe, for the pyramid discovery. So I'm just going to go through and list the key assets the company owns. These are in Nevada. We of course have the Pyramid Gold and Silver project. We have the Paymaster polymetallic project. We have the Mount Tobin silver project. We have the Brunton Pass copper project, the Lucky Copper project, and a number of other smaller licenses within that area. But in May this year, the company announced that it had formed a Zambian subsidiary. The Zambian subsidiary is based on the Zambian copper belt. Of course, Zambia is renowned as a producer of copper. They produced 900,000 tons of copper in 2020, so it's one of the world's top 10 producers. And certainly the company has Tertiary is developing an asset there with a local subsidiary, and it's retained Luangwa Minerals exploration manager Marcel Nally as its point of contact over there. Now, recently, if you follow the Tertiary Minerals Twitter account, you will have seen pictures from the new managing director who was appointed over the summer, Patrick Cullen. I've interviewed Patrick several times. He's a very nice fellow, but very knowledgeable guy as well. Has a lot of knowledge and contacts within Zambia, and I think it was this bringing this new dimension to the company that's really changed the perception of where Tertiary is going to go. And of course, Tertiary, like most other mining and resource companies has suffered from this malaise since the summer. Share prices have just drifted backwards with very little, even when there's something positive to announce, the share price hasn't moved. So that says to me that the sector is basically dropping back, it's flatlining, and I believe at some point we're going to see a big turnaround in the sector. And looking at where we are now, I think we're going to see possibly some uplift before Christmas, but certainly in 2022 Q1 we should see a rebasing and an upward revaluation of all these small cap mining companies with these projects. So the progress through the year with these projects. The company has undertaken a lot of sampling and survey work in across the projects in Nevada. In June, which gave the share price a little fillip, but not much, you want to be honest. The company announced it had discovered a wide and thick silver zone at the Pyramid Silver and Gold project, 6 trenches, 360 meters in total, with some pretty good gradings. And Patrick Cheetham, the chairman at that point, said it was very exciting. They were undertaking further drilling and soil sampling, and had seen significant width of silver mineralization in sight. Fast forward to October, and that's changed again. The company announced that this silver zone had extended, nearly doubled from 360 to 530 meters, and they're pulling golds out from the sampling of 595 grams per ton silver and 0.66 grams per ton of gold. So, this is a significant find, and I think we're going to hear a lot more about this site being developed in the coming months. Also interesting to note that just after that, the company announced TR1 with a major shareholding from an M. Farouk, who now owns just over 6% of Tertiary Mineral shares, and of course, at this ridiculously low market cap of 2.6 million, there is a great opportunity for investors and shareholders to pick up stock at these lowly levels. And I think Mr. Farouk obviously saw that and took full advantage of it. But back to Zambia, and in regard to the details of the agreement, this is the 5 large exploration licenses they've secured cover over 1,500 square kilometers. The agreement that they have is aimed primarily at what's referred to as Jack's license, which is underlain by what they refer to as lower Roan group rocks, which host the major copper mines in the Central African Copper Belt. So almost without a doubt, and I know when Patrick went over, that he took a lot of pictures, put those on Twitter, and you can actually see the copper in the ground, literally staring down from the surface. So it's already well advanced in that regard. Copper mineralization from historical drill testing from the Jack's license, that they drill tested an 18-kilometer long open-ended anomaly. They drilled 1% copper from 130 meters in depth, 8 meters at 0.96% copper, and another sample at 322 meters down came in at 1.5%. So significant numbers all round, and this is obviously very encouraging from the group. Now, being Thursday, we've had another announcement out today, a strategic update from the company, confirming that as a result of Patrick's visit and the work that's been undertaken, they are going to exercise the option with Moasha Resources to acquire up to a 90% JV interest in the 4 additional large licenses in the area. So this is now a huge area, smack bang in the middle of the Zambian copper belt. The company also updated on the Nevada projects. Planning is currently underway for drilling at Pyramid, following the extension of the trenching they discovered in that zone, and also drilling a trenching work at Brunton Pass copper project in Nevada is planned for Q1 next year too. So there's an awful lot going on, and I think we're going to see some significant grades coming out of the ground over the next few months. But certainly, I know Patrick Cullen's very excited about the North Ruth target at Pyramid, and also the because of his knowledge of Zambia, he's very excited about the potential across Jack's license, and also with the Moashi licenses that have been agreed today. So all in all, I think Tertiary is absolutely rock bottom share price at the moment. There's no premium for anything in the share price at all. It's almost what I'd refer to as a keep the lights on valuation, nothing more than that. So I think Mr. Farouk has been very shrewd in picking up stock at this level, and I certainly hold shares in Tertiary, and I think we are certainly due an uplift in the next few months.
Okay, in the next few months, and it looks like that early 2022, early next year, there's going to be some exploration activity.
Yeah, and yes, we've got drilling work taking place at Pyramid. Remember, I referred to the extended the silver trending zone was extended from 360 meters to 530 meters, and the grades coming out of the ground. And these are grades on the surface. They're not drilled for these. These are grades on the surface. From literally trenching. And a bunch of guys basically digging and looking at the soil. So that's really exciting. So let's get a drill in the ground there, see what we can what can come out, and then of course work will be undertaken at the Brunton Pass copper project, and we'll have further progress on the Zambian projects to report. So I think there's every reason for investors to expect an uplift, possibly by the end of the year, but certainly during Q1 2022.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So Blencowe, then, what can you tell us about Blencowe?
Blencowe is this is a huge, exciting company that's geared up for the EV and the battery revolution. It has it is the 100% owner of the Orem Cross graphite project in Uganda, and of course Uganda is a very benign political environment, very pro mining. It's also geographically located. Its geographical location is very conducive to easy extraction, easy shipping, which of course is a key factor when you're making an assessment of projects such as the Orem Cross project. So Orem Cross covers some 2,000 square miles. It is a vast area, and obviously, in these larger territories like Africa, continents, 2,000 square meters is nothing, but it's a huge area. There was a camp initially at Orem Cross, and when the company first started to undertake drilling and sampling work in the area, they discovered high-grade graphite flakes literally on the surface about 250 meters from the main camp. So they established a zone there and started work and started pulling this stuff out of the ground, and the grades were incredible. They were already confirming last year grades of 95 to 90%, 97% total graphite content. The company is, of course, just a word on the board. The company is, of course, headed up by Mike Ralston, and Mike is he's a great guy, very knowledgeable guy, based down in South Africa. Cameron Pearce, of course, is the executive chairman, many years' experience working within mining and bringing mining projects to fruition. And so the group have slowly developed and worked the Orem Cross project to the point where in April this year they announced their first maiden resource estimate, their first maiden JORC resource estimate, and that's 16.3 million tons of total graphite content, which is quite incredible. But even more incredible when you consider that the estimate from the license area is from a piece of ground which represents less than 1% of the entire Orem Cross project area. So in other words, what they could do once they get this one away They could repeat the process many times over, and this is all within Blencowe Resources' 100% owned licensed territory. I mentioned getting the stuff out of the ground. You could literally drive a tractor with a rake over that ground, and you'd be raking up flakes of graphite, which could go straight for processing at that point. It's got very low extraction costs, and some estimates were undertaken of the potential for the production going forward. On September 29th, the group finally published its preliminary economic assessment of the Orme Cross project. The PEA gave the project a net present value, an NPV of $317 million, with an internal rate of return of 49%, a 13-year mine life. Graphite potential or graphite content was 75,000 tons total graphite concentrate, with potential to extend, of course, just within that area. The company also announced that the operating costs were ultra low. I mean, one of the lowest in the world, at $498 per ton, and that includes getting the stuff out of the ground, getting it driven to Mombasa port, and shipped to market. It's estaminated, as I say, the EBITDA that will be generated from an operating mine will be in the region of $40 million per annum, and that's at an assumed price of just over $1,050 per ton. So the production costs are less than half of the profit that the group expects to make from just this one mine in an area that represents less than 1% of the entire Orme Cross project area. It's estimated that the mine will yield some $351 million over the 13-year mine life. So on the back of that, last Friday, the company announced that it had raised a further $2 million, and the £2 million pounds that was raised included a subscription of 75,000 from the directors and the CEO. So the directors have skin in the game; they're fully committed. And what this means is now the company is fully funded through to the completion of the next phase. You complete the preliminary economic assessment. You then move to PFS, which is the pre-feasibility study, and that's an assessment of the costs of building the mining, building the mine, building the production center, building the access roads, although access there is pretty easy by all accounts. So that it includes the cost of getting the stuff out of the ground, the local workforce, and the entire infrastructure around getting this mine operating. We've had the preliminary economic assessment, which is great. The PFS will basically give us all of that and more besides, and that is now expected to be delivered by mid-2022. In addition, the group are also working. Remember, the size and scale of this project. They're working on an updated JORC resource. So we're fully expecting to see the numbers that we already have: 16.3 million tons increase from there. And of course, there is the backdrop, the graphite market. The uses of the graphite that will come out of the ground there will, of course, be a staple part of the lithium-ion batteries that are produced. Over 40% of the weight in the lithium-ion battery is the graphite. In addition, there are a multitude of other applications, use in steel mills. Graphite is a fire retardant material, so it's got all those qualities. So it's got a multitude of other applications. And of course, the fact is that the company I mentioned, just like Tertiary Minerals, the share price has drifted backwards. The company has a market capitalization of 6.7 million currently. Shares are traded as high as 9.5 2.5p on the year, and as low as 5p. And of course, the raise was done at around 5p. So shares currently trading at 5.4p. You'll be, if you invest now, you'll be going in at pretty well the same level as the subscribers did to the placing last week. So I think the company is ideally placed. Once we get the PFS level, it's going to dramatically change the value and the quality of the project. But the other thing to remember is that all around the world, we have battery manufacturers, gigafactories looking for opportunities to strike deals as early as possible with projects that offer potential to enter the supply chain. And of course, Orem Cross is already at that level. Mike Ralston, the CEO, has said on numerous occasions that they're in discussions with some of the leading manufacturers around the world, leading companies, to set up takeoff agreements. Of course, once those hit the news wires, then we're going to see a potential, I believe, a substantial ramp up in the valuation of Blencowe Resources. But again, a very exciting 2022 in prospect, and I think we're going to hear an awful lot from the company in the first half of the year in the run up to the publication of the pre-feasibility study. So
that's the next big thing, is it? The PFS?
It's a number of things. So we've got the PFS. We have an updated JORC resource estimate. Mm-hmm. So currently 16.3 million tons. But literally, this stuff is sticking out of the ground. I mean, it's quite remarkable. So once we have that updated resource estimate, the MRE, then we'll hear about that in the first half next year. Then, of course, that will contribute further to the PFS and will change the numbers in the PFS. In the meantime, I would expect to be hearing about takeoff agreements. So that there are a number of potential value inflection points coming in from these news announcements. And who knows? I say next year, we might even hear something before Christmas. It's moving that quickly.
Okay. It is a very interesting space to be in, the battery metal space, and graphite being, I think. Well, I'll get a plug in for a fireside chat that we did with three companies who are operating in the battery metal space: graphite, lithium, and manganese. And graphite's the sort of the commodity that's used everywhere in batteries, but it's often not considered to be used that much, but it's used an awful lot. And really, there's going to be a huge. The sort of discussion led that it was going to be a huge undersupply, let's say, of these commodities for the EV revolution, and that's only just for electric vehicles. That's not for battery storage, for energy for national power grids. And the guys all agreed that really next year, 2022, we're going to see some real big moves in the space going on. Talking like mergers and acquisitions, and as you said, the companies looking to actually partner with or merge with these mining companies to secure their supply chains. And that is the real fear. It's not so much about where it is or the cost. It's how do I secure my supply chain, and it's a real concern, I think, in for these car manufacturers. So I think we're going to see. I think we talked about the mining super cycle, and the guys sort of said, maybe not. It'll be something different this time, and it's going to be led by battery metals. So any company, good company that's operating in these metals or commodities in the battery space, I think is a sound investment for the next 10 years probably.
Well, it is, and of course we've spoken about Cadence Minerals in the past, and going back to some of the presentations that were put together by the board back in 2018, 2019, they all predicted a supply squeeze in 2022, and that's with lithium, obviously, which is a key component of battery metals, and batteries, and also the other applications into wind turbine technology and all of the applications involving electricity. Graphite is a core component, and there is going to be a supply squeeze. And as you say, Mark, these companies are now aligning themselves to make sure that they have their supply chain locked in place. And so the value of these takeoff agreements, I believe, is going to accelerate dramatically over the next year. Probably in the run up to Christmas, we'll see some activity on that front, because companies cannot afford to be caught out. They've got to be part of the battery metals race.
Indeed, yeah. The next gold rush in batteries, been around for a long, long time, haven't they? And we used to put them in our toys when we were children, and in our remote control to turn the channel. And the humble battery is coming into a world of its own now. It's
the humble battery is coming of age.
Indeed, coming of age. But about time too. Really, they're incredible. They're incredible things, really, when you research them and how they work.
Oh, they are. Yeah. But again, I think like all great technology, actually really simple. There's not a great deal to it. It's just the manner in which they're put together, the amount of the components, and also it's the longevity that we can now get from these batteries. I mean, I was talking about the electric vehicles the other day, and someone was saying to me, "Oh, you're going to get an EV?" Because I've got an old Audi Q7 diesel. So I'm one of these polluters still. And I said, well, yeah, I will. But I think the key issue at the moment is, of course, you see all the car programs, and when you get into an electric car, as soon as you get in, you're thinking, right, how far can I go before I run out? And that's the overriding fear that drivers of these cars have. That, of course, is going to change. And I think we're going to see. Going forward that manufacturers will be bringing new types of battery to market. There's already talk, I think, of Toyota has developed a battery that will last 500 miles and takes 10 minutes to recharge, and that's how it's going to go. Once you get to that point, then the internal combustion engine really will have had its day.
Indeed, yeah. Great. Well, thank you very much, Alan, for presenting the case there for Tertiary Minerals and, of course, Blencowe. Wish you a pleasant weekend, and we'll speak again next week.
Thank you, Mark. Have a great weekend.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.